Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another exciting week here in online anatomy and physiology. So, this week, we are going to continue our survey into that of the body systems. And this week, we are going to cover a body system that is highly functional. You just might not know it. And that body system is the respiratory system. So where is the respiratory system and what is its function? Well, the respiratory system actually starts off in our nasals and then it descends down into our windpipe and then into these wonderful structures right here, our lungs. We have two lungs, the left and right. They reside in our upper chest cavity and they have a unique function behind them. Their main goal is to intake gases like oxygen and then help distribute that intake to other cells found throughout our body. And that will help us maintain that characteristic of life. Remember when we talked about homeostasis? Well, cells need gases to be able to sustain and complete their functions. And so the respiratory system in the human body is uniquely derived, meaning it is able to bring in that oxygen and then distribute it to where it's needed. So the focus of this week's material is going to be dealing with, again, the lungs. And we are going to take a look at things like the mechanics of breathing. We're going to look at the anatomy and also conduct some physiology tests with the lungs that you can even do at home. So right now, I've actually got a little model that I want to show you. This is my little demonstration of how the lungs will actually work utilizing a concept called Boyle's Law. And we're going to go more in depth about Boyle's Law in this week's material. But it's really just helping demonstrate how we inhale and exhale air. So right here, I've got my chamber, a little straw that's going to mimic the windpipe, two green balloons, and that will mimic the left and right lungs. And then this yellow rubber with a little nipple onto it will actually mimic the diaphragm, which sits right underneath the lungs. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the model, and I am going to pull down onto it and inflate those lungs. See on how they're inflated a little bit? Then I'm going to release, basically the up and down action of inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, in, out, bringing air in, inhale, and then exhale. Doing so will actually allow us to better understand how the gases move in our lungs as we are breathing. In the human body, it's all about muscle contractions. When we pull down the thoracic diaphragm, which is what the yellow will represent, it causes a reduced pressure in the chest cavity, and the relatively higher pressure of the atmosphere around our bodies and lungs causes the lungs to inflate. Then when the muscle relaxes, the diaphragm will then return back to its normal size, allowing the lungs to deflate and push out gases that aren't needed, such as carbon dioxide. And so that model will not only represent the mechanics of breathing, but also a brief demonstration of Boyle's Law. And again, we'll talk more about Boyle's Law in the material this week. And so I want to actually show you another cool thing our lungs can do, physiology-wise. And that's going to be the volume of the lungs. So right now, I've actually got this long bag. It's about 6 feet long. And then I put a little plastic tube on the end and a rubber band. And so this bag is going to allow us to better understand how much lung capacity our lungs can hold. A very interesting fact. that humans, we have populated just about every climate zone on our planet. Our physiology helps us adapt to those different climate zones. I was actually reading a report about the respiratory system in people that live in high elevations. And did you know that their respiratory system physiology is completely different than, say, ours out here, even in the Appalachian Mountains and Potomac Highlands? I think that's fascinating. So when we take a look at the lung capacity of people that live in high elevations or those that even do deep diving, the lung capacity is dramatically different. So what I'm going to actually do is just show you what normal lung capacity may actually be. And this varies from person to person depending on other health factors. But I've got my bag right here, and then I'm just going to blow in. But watch the end of the bag. It will actually start to inflate as I blow as hard as I can. So right now, with this test, this is all the air that I can exhale in one breath. That's impressive. And I'm not exactly a fit person. I hike a lot, but when I compare my physiology to that of an athlete, it's not really that impressive. But we're also going to be taking a look at the scientific method again. We're going to take a look at some variables that you can collect when you're doing studies dealing with respiratory physiology. And I want to be able to share some of the examples that you may encounter in this week's lab. All right, so this is actually going to be some data that can be collected in your lab assignment, or at least a variation of it, as you're going to be looking at the respiratory physiology of the lungs utilizing a simulator. But this is actually called a spirometric interpretation. It's really just trying to determine how healthy your lungs are when you're looking at variables such as how much volume can your lungs hold and then release, and how much flow those lungs can have during their intake and then eventual exhalation. And we can actually graph the data out and take a look. This green line right here shows normal spirometric conditions. You have a high flow, and then you can have a long sustained volume that is able to release bring in the oxygen and then release the carbon dioxide. And then as you start to see it go from green to orange, that's telling us that there is something wrong in the person's lungs. Red means severe obstruction, meaning that the lungs are not exactly healthy, according to the spirometry. And then the black dotted line would be possible restriction. And possible restriction can mean a variety of things, such as maybe a buildup of material in the lungs. A good example, maybe it might be like silicosis, silica buildup in your lungs, or even a smoker will actually exhibit some of these possible and severe obstructions. And so we can actually, again, look at that data and take a look at figures and compare them. So here is someone with normal lung function. Here is someone where they actually have COPD. Fixed extrathoracic obstruction, meaning that they might have something like a bad airway. Upper airway obstruction might mean that they actually have a deterioration in their tracheas and upper windpipe. Restrictive lung disease could be something like asthma and coughing. This is a graph that was very common during, say, the COVID-19 pandemic, where when you do a spirometric results, you would actually be getting a weird mixture of COPD and cough before the symptoms start to make the patient extremely sick. So really, that's what our goal this week is. We are going to concentrate on the lungs and the mechanics of breathing, but also investigate the true data that is powering our interpretations of how this body system actually works. If you got any questions, need some help, please reach out. You can get a hold of me by swinging by my office, send me a video chat request, and or an email during my open office hours. But the real main goal is just to connect you to the physiology aspect of the data set. Go back to basically our first few weeks of the course with those fundamentals.